To perceive errors in anyone and to react to them as if they were real is to make them real to you. The only reaction that makes sense is peace, and that is not a reaction but a state of mind. In this sense, then, to react means to respond in a way that changes our state because of what another has said or done. We have given that person power over us, and by doing so have thrown away the mind's power, which is the only cause for not being at peace. The issue is not what our eyes see, but how our mind interprets what they see. In other words, no one and nothing outside us can take away the peace that is ours. We need to reinforce for ourselves and our brothers the mind's power to choose. When we seek to punish anyone in thought, word, or deed, we demonstrate that the decision for the ego is right. The mind is sinful. An escape from the evil within must come through hiding in the world and body, projecting responsibility for our miserable state onto causes other than the mind's decision. Succinctly stated, we have made the error of separation real for all of us. Your brother's errors are not of him any more than yours are of you. Accept his errors as real and you have attacked yourself. If you would find your way and keep it, see only truth beside you, for you walk together. The Holy Spirit in you forgives all things in you and in your brother. His errors are forgiven with yours. If we are serious about returning home, A Course in Miracles as the means to get there and the Holy Spirit or Jesus as our teacher, we must be equally serious about their means of forgiveness. We need to seek Christ's vision as our guide, for this alone allows us to see our interests as shared with everyone. Whether they are right or wrong in form, our brother's content of love is one. On this level, we cannot help but walk together with all people. Together or not at all remains the gentle correction for the ego's one or the other. Atonement is no more separate than love. Atonement cannot be separate because it comes from love. Any attempt you make to correct a brother means that you believe correction by you is possible, and this can only be the arrogance of the ego. Correction is of God who does not know arrogance. The rule of thumb that guides us as we journey home with Jesus is that any thought that differentiates among members of the sonship is of the ego. Form separates, which is why Jesus will say, "Nothing so blinding as perception of form." To be sure, bodies are different from each other physically and psychologically, but our lesson is that we are minds, and on that level we are the same. Accordingly, when we seek to correct another, it can only be the ego's arrogance directing us, for we are accentuating the differences inherent in our superior position relative to another who is wrong. Once more, having this awareness does not necessarily mean we do not correct mistakes verbally or behaviorally, but it does mean that our words and actions would reflect the inherent sameness of God's Son, and not the judgment that holds intact the shared belief in separation. The Holy Spirit forgives everything because God created everything. Do not undertake his function, or you will forget yours. Accept only the function of healing in time, because that is what time is for. God gave you the function to create in eternity. This foreshadows the later theme of the little willingness we are asked only to do our little part in salvation, which is asking the Holy Spirit's help that we accept His vision of shared interests as correction for the ego's judgment of separate interests. This function of forgiveness or healing within the illusion undoes the ego, allowing the memory of our eternal function of creation to dawn upon our joyful minds. To accomplish this, we need only look at the ego's thought system of hate and say, I no longer want this. As we now read, you do not need to learn that, but you do need to learn to want it, for that all learning was made. This is the Holy Spirit's use of an ability that you do not need, but that you made. Give it to Him. You do not understand how to use it. He will teach you how to see yourself without condemnation by learning how to look at everything or look on everything without it. Condemnation will then not be real to you, and all your errors will be forgiven. We cannot learn how to create our function in heaven, but through forgiveness we can learn to want this. Although we misuse the mind to miscreate through projection, we can now be taught to choose the miracle's extension. Relinquishing judgment of ourselves is the means the Holy Spirit uses to shift our perception from condemnation to forgiveness. All God's sons, including ourselves, will awaken from the dream of separation and hate and know they never left their home of perfect oneness and love.